What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we're going to be jumping into Savage Avengers issue number 22. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with this line, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with the Savage Avengers. Now, this is written by Gary Dugan, the art is Patch Zitcher, and we last left off with Conan and Ghost Rider getting to the bottom of Nightmare's manifestations and his werewolf origins. And really, this line should just be called Conan, especially at this point, because that's what it's been doing. We've had a huge story arc that has just been covering everything Conan is doing. From taking over the Hellfire Club to battling symbiotes with Deadpool, he has been all over the freaking place. Now be sure to tune into the channel tomorrow so you're not missing any of the indie comic weekends. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so as we're diving into this issue, we're picking up where it left off, and Conan is waking up in a tavern. Now the last thing he remembers is going toe-to-toe with Ghost Rider, and not really sure if this was simply a dream or maybe it was something else. He goes outside the tavern and he realizes that he is in ancient Cimmeria. Not really sure how he got here, not really even sure why he is here, but as he is walking about outside, this is when he runs into the past Ghost Rider. The Ghost Rider that rode on a giant spider. And the Ghost Rider rides up to him and he tells him that he is the barbarian that has been haunting his nightmares. And that he stinks of the sorcerer Conan Goth. The Ghost Rider telling him that he stinks of sorcery and that he is going to pay for everything that he has done. That he will feel the spirit of vengeance penance. And with that, Conan kicks it into high gear, making his way atop this spider. He tries to let the Ghost Rider know that he is no friend of Conan Goth. In fact, he wishes to drive his sword through his chest. But the Ghost Rider is not hearing it. He's not listening to him, and as they tumble to the ground, these two continue to brawl. But before this fight can go on any longer, this is when the giant spider attacks Conan from behind. With the fangs piercing into his skin, he can feel the venom coursing through his blood. And with that, he begins to lose consciousness. But this is when Conan realizes that this has all been a dream. He had been unconscious this entire time, and he's in some kind of labyrinth of a nightmare, and waking up in some type of cocoon that can only be assumed that was created by a spider. Being able to break out of it, seeing an individual standing there next to him also wrapped up, breaking him out, realizing that it is Blaze. Now these two quickly realize that they are both inside of the same nightmare, and as they prepare for what is about to come at them, this is when we see an entire pack of werewolves. This being one of Blaze's worst memories, worst nightmares growing up as a child. And now he is seeing the real life manifestation inside of this dream. And so him and Conan are now gonna have to battle their way out of this. And as they stab and kick and punch, they do everything they can to be able to take out all of these werewolves. But at the end of the day, there are too many of them. And so we see the two completely overwhelmed, not being able to take on this amount of werewolves, lacking any kind of power to be able to fight back. The werewolves, they take them on and they bite them to pieces. And the two drift back into unconsciousness again, only to wake up and find themselves in some kind of desert with nooses around their neck. And this is when the big bad finally reveals himself. This is when Nightmare appears. Nightmare has been orchestrating this entire thing because he has been looking for Conan for some time. Now this isn't something he usually does. He usually doesn't consort with mortals. But as it stands, he has a bone to pick with Conan. And since Conan rarely ever actually has nightmares, he had to send somebody after him, that individual being Ghost Rider. Now Conan tries to say something, but Nightmare shoots off a gun and the horses underneath them run, and they are left hanging by those ropes. And he tells them not to interrupt him because he's gone through quite an ordeal to be able to arrange this meeting. Now as it stands, every man has fears, even individuals like Conan. Now Conan's isn't isn't dying in some battle. It isn't anything that you would think. Conan's is dying as an old man, not being able to pick up his sword and shield. Conan's biggest fear is getting old and dying. Getting old and never being able to lift up that sword again. Now at this point, Conan's getting a little mad. Being in this new dream sequence, he's no longer sitting there hanging, and he's telling Nightmare that if you don't let me go, if you don't let me out of here, I'm going to kill you. In the regular Conan fashion, trying to use brute force to get out of every situation. But Nightmare tells him that this will not come to pass. At least, I don't believe this will be your future. But he goes on to say that Conan Goth found Nightmare and had a taste of his power. And now the realm of nightmares is his to lose. But Nightmare did tell him that every man has nightmares. And the one thing that Conan Goth is truly afraid of is Conan. Because Nightmare has been inside of his dreams. He is a man that dreams of conquest. He fantasizes about making those that have crossed him stand on crosses. In his dreams, even Nightmare begs for death, which Conan Goth never grants. But his dreams go to a dark place in which Conan is beyond his sight. And so Nightmare proposes the question, you've killed Conan Goth once, can you do this again? Continuing and letting him know that all of their fates might depend on that question. But Nightmare had to come meet the man that Conan Goth fears, the one that he has nightmares about. And he tells him that he needs to go find Stephen Strange. He needs to go find Doctor Strange. If he's going to be able to win this battle, he is going to have to get his help. He's going to have to enlist him. Because as it stands, Conan Goth doesn't know where to find Conan. But Sorcerer Supreme, that is a whole different topic. And so the two released from this nightmare sequence, Blaze making his exit because he really doesn't want anything to do with any of this, and Conan making his way to the house of Stephen Strange, making his way to the Sanctum. Now usually this place is coded from individuals. It's got a spell that hides its location, but Conan is exempt from this spell, and he was even granted direct access to the Sanctum during the long emergency posed by Conan Goth. And going up to the front door, he pounds on the door, telling Strange that Conan Goth is attacking in ways that they could not perceive. Doctor Strange not answering the door, he makes his way in on his own. But this is when Conan is completely thrown off his guard. Because going inside, this is where he sees Doctor Strange having an appointment with Shuma Gorath. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, I wasn't a big fan of the Savage Avengers line when it first kicked off, but I started picking it up, you know, during the King in Black event, and I gotta say, I'm really enjoying this line. It's really been a lot of fun. Like I've said many times over, they really should just call this the Conan line and stop calling it Savage Avengers. Because at this point, it is just Conan, and randomly he'll have people tag on and help him, but they don't last long. It's not like he has a team or anything of that nature. But I gotta say, this has been one of the funner lines. It's definitely a breath of fresh air. It's definitely a breakaway from everything that is going on. Yeah, they do include some of the events like the King in Black event, but it's relatively short, and he's not playing some huge significant role in it. And so this is like the side story to really just break the ice and break the monotony of everything currently going on. At least that's how I feel about this comic. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, please do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. And until the next video.